Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing people's work. Every single month in Designly, we upload some work and call it a work review. Whether that's a couple pieces that you did in the last week or so, or an update to your portfolio that you just want some extra critique on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start with Charlie. He's a moderator over in the Frostify Discord. Go ahead and check that out in the description. Fantastic server. Anyway, when it comes to Charlie's work, right? We have a mascot, we have the theme around movie theaters, and we want to entice people to make a purchase, right? This is a fantastic Twitter banner, right? But we do have to ask ourselves, what does the rest of this Twitter profile look like? The Twitter profile picture, for example, is going to be on the left where these other packages are. Depending on how far up that profile picture is, there's going to be probably this demon guy showing up for the 5th time on the profile, right? Is that really something that we want? This particular textured splotches, I honestly don't think it's particularly needed if we are to take a closer look into this, right? Because we already have a really nice grain and a subtle gradient involved, but these extra splotches, I don't think that it's particularly necessary. Overall, fantastic effort here. Again, if this is a Twitter profile, I'd say it's warranted. Anywhere else though, I would be a little bit more concerned. It doesn't really have a CTA, doesn't really have a buy today or find us at your local movie theater. You know, in fact, it probably should say find us at your local theater, because I don't think I know anybody that's going to be buying like popcorn seasonings or something like that. Local movie theater or local grocer, use that type of lingo. Find us locally, as maybe with like a little pin for the location and it says find us locally, whatever. I'm rambling. Next, this is by ADI. ADI is an active member here in Designly. This is going to give me a epileptic seizure. Why is this flashing so much? You can see my screen flashing on me. I feel like I'm being attacked right now. I want to stray away from this as fast as possible. And ADI, we've seen your work. We've seen this in particular in the server, your work in general. But you made no effort to actually adjust this and change it to something else, despite receiving feedback. So I'm a little bit concerned on if you're fully understanding the critiques that you're being received. Scrolling down, this is a little bit harder to read. A lot of other branding types. I don't know what the squiggle line is. It's uninspired. I feel like you could do better, right? Coming down here, I'm really confused because the logo itself is really clean, really thin. But coming down here, and it's like a completely different energy that you're giving off here. Not to mention it is a bit off-center. This is taking up the entire screen. It's not utilizing a great use of space here. This texture's fine, the grain is good, shine, that's what the S squiggle is for. I don't see it. I think you could have done better. I think it's a little lazy. Coming down here, it does look a little bit better on the mock-up, but even still, like this really thin text with this giant squiggle line coming through the middle, it makes me confused as to what it is that's trying to be portrayed here. I'd rather just do without it. This really confuses me. I'd have no clue why we have a really nice, thin, elegant, luxurious logo here, and then we're met with like elementary school, come join us at a luncheon type thing. Why is the font in different sizes? Why? No. Why did you do this to yourself? This is awful. I'm sorry. This is not consistent with the previous logo that you created. And it seems as though you don't fully grasp the whole identity that's behind a luxury brand. These mock-ups are okay. These pictures are, this mock-up is a little bit missing. It looks strange here. This giant squiggle, I don't get it. Once again, squiggle once again, don't get it. Squiggle once again, don't get it. Crystal branding, sure. Squiggle brand, don't get it. Squiggle, 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 no. We have another company info going over what the company is when we already had that up here. I'm just confused, ADI. I don't know why you have 2 descriptions for the company. They basically say the same thing. Both are even different fonts. Now, when it comes to this mock-up here, it's really good. Right? What would it look like on the street? Something that I would encourage you to think about is when people are walking down the street, how do you catch somebody's eye? This is a luxury jewelry brand, yet this is not displaying any type of jewelry, right? Up here, you have people with the rings, with the earrings, the crystals, all that stuff. And you didn't use that for any of the way to get people in the doors. It's just a choose your gem at Gemsha. I don't want to read about the gems. I want to see the type of gems that the store has. I would just walk past this. Choose your gem at Gemsha. Okay, but I can't see the inside of the store. You know, it's gems, so I'm assuming they're in a locked case that you have to actually walk up and look down to see the crystals. People who are willing to spend around $10,000 for a gemstone are not going to get the impression that this is a gem shop that they want to spend their money at. Further coming down the list, again with the squiggle, don't like it, hate it, actually. The mock-up itself is nice, the color grading, the colors with the thing here, it is confusing. Again, like this mock-up over here, it's literally just the squiggle. The squiggle line is not it. I would axe it entirely. This is a nice mock-up with the good colors. This looks fine, again, without the squiggle. Like, I just don't know like what the squiggle is supposed to be. 28, 29, 30. I had to scroll through 30 images to understand the mission of the company. The mission needs to be at the top, after maybe the first or second image. People that are interested in what you've created, they want an insight into why you created it and how. I shouldn't have to scroll to the bottom to figure out how. I think you did a good job with the logo itself. Gemsha Gem Store, the mock-ups are pretty decent as well. The squiggle is atrocious, and the way in which that you've presented this brand has hindered its ability to actually get that $10,000 buyer in those doors. Especially, you know, if I was one, I would not shop here. Sorry. You also linked some posters. This particular mock-up that you've done here, really great. Some of the color grading is just a tiny bit off. The darkest part of this image over here is not necessarily the darkest up here. Probably adjusting some of those contrasts. Maybe the highlights are a little bit too intense. That being said, with an aurora borealis, it does fill the sky with light quite considerably. And with a mountain, you'd expect to see a little bit more of a glow from this particular color off of the mountain itself, because it is closer to it. Food for thought, embed that a little bit closer inwards into kind of like the realism of the image. But I think overall, I think it still fits the bill. Motorcyclist, I can just instantly tell because of the coloring, this person is not here. Coming down to the water splash, which looks like it was just maybe a PNG image that was taken out from a white background. There's no ripples anywhere. He had to have come from across this lake over here, or I guess this little puddle, which would have sent ripples all the way over here to get to this point. Was he coming from the air and land into the puddle? Did he take off from a ramp and then land here? Or did he come from the edge of the puddle? Because if he came from the edge of the puddle, there's no water displacement anywhere. It's those really fine details that is going to make or break your piece. You did a little bit of the attention to detail with the water splash here, but there just needs to be a trail. And I think that the photography angle that is with this entire structure versus the camera angle that took the shot of the dude with the motorcycle are just different angles entirely. And that's what's kind of hard with photo compositing, right? You got to find that right angle to make it work. It looks a little funky. It looks like from the motorcyclist's image itself. The photo was taken a lot further away. So this guy should be really tiny. Yeah, this is it. We're getting into the muck of things, right? I think you understand what you could do better here. And then we have Lazy. Lazy is new to the server, so great to have you. Welcome to one of the first work reviews, if you're watching back on YouTube. These are cute little diddles, short little GIF animations. I think they satisfy what you're trying to do with them, but I would ask you what the purpose is, right? Obviously, this is a profile picture up here, and then down here, I don't know what it is. It's a little banner. It's the dimensions are too small to be like a stream starting thing or a Twitter banner or whatever, so maybe you just did this for fun. Take those extra steps to ask yourself why you're making the decisions that you are, because I don't know why you created this particular piece. Then we have Selfish. Selfish is a voice actor, which is pretty cool. Welcome to my portfolio. My name is Selfish. I'm a content creator and advertiser. So no need to introduce yourself again. You know, it's already kind of like in an email format. You don't need to say, hi, I'm Selfish. My name is Selfish. Just cut right to the chase. Welcome to my portfolio. What you'll find here are gigs that I've voice acted, ads that I've created and animated, examples of how I've embedded myself in the strategy of why we're creating the things that we are. Let's get in touch. Put a little bit of a call to action there. Reviewing the latest work. Let's head in here. Game Boost ad.
Another defeat. Another broken monitor. End of the season is almost here, and you still haven't reached your desired rank. Don't worry, we got your back. Introducing Game Boost, the cheap, fast way to rank up, all in www.gameboost.eu. Game Boost, the cheap, fast way to rank up. Join now.
Why are you saying www? Is this 2001? When you say gameboost.eu, I expect to see text fly up on my screen. Join today, start today at gameboost.eu. If my volume is off, I get zero context into what the hell was just in front of me. The www thing is weird. That may have been a client thing, in which case you need to slap them across the face and say, no, visual storytelling. We want to make it easy for people to take the necessary steps to get from point A to point B. If somebody has to rewind your video and then turn on their volume to understand where to go, it's not an effective strategy. You may be able to touch that person once in an advertisement, depending on your strategy, and that's it. They could have been the most qualified person to do this, but in the way in which it's demonstrated, no. The voice acting's fine. Obviously, I don't have the best mic in the world. It sounds like your nose is like slightly plugged, and I don't know if it's the rig that you have that's making your voice sound like that, or if that's just how your voice is. But it sounds like it's like an equipment thing. So no fault of you. I think the voice acting is fine. You know, with Yeti microphones, I think you might be able to find value in getting a blanket. I don't have a blanket on me, but just getting a blanket and holding it over yourself and then recording like that if you don't have an entire studio room. If I'm not showing my face here and it's just my voice, I'm doing that. I don't have the capital to just redo this entire room into a studio, right? This window is right here, not soundproof at all. But there is a huge difference in putting a blanket over your mic, huddled in there, like kind of looking like a weirdo to do that. Those are my thoughts on that. Here is another one.
Shave your nasty armpit. It's not even a lot. Who the fuck shaves their armpit? Women, that's who.
You kind of go through the video. There are some pretty large gaps where nothing is happening. Maybe something is happening. I don't play League. Maybe people's eyes are glued to what he's clicking on. That's probably it. I don't like that the streamer, his chin is cut off. He doesn't have a chin. He has a blank face. Entertainment value from him is not as good as it could be. And it doesn't make your job easier either, because you have to make this guy like more fun, and he's giving you nothing. So it was like 20 seconds of him not saying anything. And it's a part of the stylized videoing, right? In which people watching have short attention spans. And if you're able to kind of do the Family Guy cutaways, then suddenly be referencing something else in a different scene that is kind of meta ironically involved with what's actually going on, then it's relevant and it's funny and it's cool, right? Keep doing that. You know, find more streamers that are willing to make fun of themselves, because that's going to not only be a more fun editing job for you, but also it's going to help evolve your presence overall, is for them to be aware of what's working. Like, why did you edit this the way that you did? Hey, Selfish, why did you do that? I think it's a good idea, but why? The more involved that I think the content creator is, the better off you are. Because at the end of the day, you're not designating yourself towards helping them market. You're just creating a great video, even though it is sort of like you're being involved with the marketing. But I digress. Next, we have Mello. Mello did this for Blade. They've posted this particular piece before. It's fine. It's great, in fact, but there are a few things that I would adjust. Trophies, there's no need for them. They don't add extra value. There's not really a point to them. I don't know why there's the Discord handle here. Nobody's going to be looking for a Discord handle in a Twitter banner. That's just left for the description, making Blade then larger behind the character. I don't know what's going on with this blur. It hurts my eyes to look at it. I don't necessarily have pointers that would help fix what you've done here. I get the idea. It is important to have it because character's throwing it. Yeah, I mean, motion blur, maybe dial it back a little bit, just a little bit. Embedding the character more into the image itself. There's a lot of really great purples, good yellows. None of that is bleeding onto the character. Let's get some gradient masks. Let's get some really soft brushes and start getting around those highlights and shadows. Kind of paint those in on a clipping mask. It'll help sell the idea that this is a character that's in this image. And now for the bottom left, because this is a Twitter banner, that profile picture is going to get into the way of those numbers and that shield. So I would actually move that to the top right instead. For this, I have a few critiques. Obviously, the clouds here, the kind of smog clouds, look like there's only like 2 or 3 anchors with the pen tool. Kind of want to see a little bit more creativity with that. Even the small details deserve to have as much effort put into them than the entire city silhouette. Good gradient, good separation. Coming down further down, Southland roleplay looks fine. There are some kind of clipping issues with the R touching the border and then the Y not doing so. And I think that just has more to do with it being italicized than anything else. So just be wary of that. I would love to see this as a mock-up when we're talking about really large communities. They might have merch. This could look really good as kind of like a patch that you can sew on, or one of those like heat patches to put on a jacket. I think it would look really good there. Okay, so we have to do a few things. Zoom out and really take a hard look into what we're actually able to see when it's much smaller. Realistically, all I'm really able to see is this thick and heavy circle, small line coming across the A, and then of course this thick bar with a bit of the hooks for the C. If I squint, kind of makes the C look like it's a connected shape with, of course, this separated circle. In order to remedy this, I would recommend asking yourself what this is going to be for, and even throwing this on a few mock-ups to see what it looks like with actual lighting. I would then also suggest moving the C further away from the A so there's more separation from the two. It looks really good up close, but as it gets further away, we want to make sure that it's maintaining that impact that that you're looking to leave. And then of course with this shape here, this negative space is probably the thickest negative space between a black object and a black object on this entire logo. So that either needs to be narrowed, or this just needs to be made into a circle and have it tail into the A. Next we have John Warosa, or Marius here on Twitter. John is one of our expert designers here in Designly, for good reason, obviously. Something that John is really good at is really setting the expectations of certain materials. So when I see like this silver gradient on a clearly metal material here, got like this translucency to it. I don't know why you did that. You know, I would actually be curious to see what it looks like without this kind of glow here, and just leaving this particular 3D object to just stay behind these sharper metal objects. It is bugging me though. We want to set expectations, right? We are artists, but we are primarily designers, and you are very good at following design principles. And you get to a point where you do get to talk about setting expectations for what a material is and what that material does, and while it's interacting with other elements in the piece. Right now, it just doesn't make sense. I would get it if this particular 3D object was hanging over the top a little bit and emanating a glow on top of it, but for it to be translucent, it just kind of confuses me. This particular star shape, it's not as HD as this sphere. That's another thing that I would want you to remedy, is just making sure that this particular star is as HD as it possibly can get, and as you are known with your layout designs. Really amazing effort. We then have Tedium. Now, this magazine, seriously, is something extremely witty and fun. It's not some boring magazine listing off products that have a price tag. We're met with the artist, Lyrical Lemonade, smiling, playing with an RC car, winter collection. He's out and about doing something over that top right photo. Next, we have a little bit of fashion. We have another smile over on the right. Really interesting angles with the camera and the way in which they're positioning the product itself. And then, of course, we have the funkiness that is the actual collection of items. It gives me the impression of a really badly designed website, but because this is on a printed material, it gives a completely different expectation and a more of a unique, vintage, almost eclectic vibe to it. And the trend continues. Smiling, happy, Bass Pro Shop type of merch. All of this really demonstrates a wit towards really selling this particular person's personality into, hey, look, like my products are cool and so am I, right? This is why you should buy the product. Then, of course, the RC card to end things off, and the consistency of everything here. It's a friggin' Bigfoot RC card. What kind of description do you need? It's witty, it's fun. It tells me a lot about what type of person Lyrical Lemonade is. And as a designer, I think you've succeeded in illustrating some visual storytelling and getting across who this person is. So, I mean, I really don't have very many critiques at all. Everything that you've done here was with an intent. Nice job. Next, we have AKZ. AKZ is one of our more active members in the server, recently tasked with a challenge to redesign a different server. So we're going to go ahead and review that. Right off the bat, noticing some issues with the pen tool or some type of selection. The fingers are a little bit off. The hair of this guy's arm is making it look a little bit like the skin is morphed with the hair. The other arm is fine. just a few tiny pixels of white. Scrolling down, we get a little bit of animation. Looks like it's like coming together and like magnetizing to get closer to itself and finding an eventual neutral state. Futuristic, modern, minimal, and persistent. Good grid view, good concept. Of course, this is the original logo. AKZ did not create this logo. About graphic design is a Discord, blah, blah, blah. It's, you know, a big Discord server. But in regards to this animation, if I look at this W, I can tell that the anchor point is somewhere right here, because when it shrinks down, the entire W moves instead of it being stuck. It shrinks down, but its entire body's moving. So in order to remedy that, you're going to move that anchor point down so that when you shrink it down, it doesn't go past where you've set the anchor, so that you're able to create more tension with that shrink and then eventually burst. This color scheme overall is really hard to work with, by the way. Black, gray, and this really oppressive green. Not something that I would have done. As I come down, we see a mock-up. This mock-up's green is wonderful. It's not super oppressive. It's under a type of realism within, you know, the fabric. This type of green is more manageable. This type of green is oppressive and hurts my eyes to look at. Even with the mock-ups, trying to implement this type of branding, it's so hard. Look at, it's just taking up everything. And for the social media, for the Instagram, expand your brand, right? I don't know what that necessarily means, because this is a community Discord server. Like, you're not really growing your brand with anything. In fact, the whole business model of a Discord server of this nature is to get more artists to the server, which means by nature, you're getting more clients to also come to the server. It doesn't necessarily tell the full picture here. This mock-up is interesting. I would have preferred there to be less green outside where these people are interacting and just keep it in with this mock-up on the sign. I don't know what this motion blur is. It's kind of confusing me. Mock-up is good. This 3D is okay. And then just the negative version of the one that we already saw. I think you could have done better with the color scheme. It's a hard sell. Honestly, it really is. You could have the most amazing mock-ups, but if you implement this type of branding strategy to those mock-ups with this oppressive green all over the place, it's a really hard sell, man. The pattern needs work. Like, I get that it's kind of like a chain link. It's not it. I think you need an additional color here to help balance it out. Havenworth. Now, this was made by multiple people. These multiple people are Chihiro, who is not in the server currently, Bassi, AKZ, and Saru. I know most of the people that did this, so let's move on through. We're greeted with a wonderful image. One is never overdressed or underdressed with a little black dress. Havenworth & Co. is a luxury fashion brand hailing from Milan, Italy, known for its timeless, sophisticated clothing and accessories. Nostalgia, it's coming from an old family. This is a really fantastic header image, or some type of advertisement that you can put on a big billboard. Fantastic stuff. Love that. This is a completely custom mock-up, as well as the one here on the bottom. The way in which they're kind of showing off the color palette through the mock-up is a really creative way to demonstrate what you did without taking away or stepping away from the identity that is this company. Further scrolling down, we have the bags, the item, the packaging, the animation, fantastic icon, and then of course the tags that would go on the clothing themselves. Then we have some text documents that show this really nice beige, and then the business cards, which look fantastic. And I believe Saru was the one that did this video as well, so let's go ahead and watch that. Amazing. I get the lifestyle, I get the fashion of the clothing, I get these beautiful women that are demonstrating the kind of lifestyle aspect of it, the posing. The editing helps solidify that this is an old family that is coming from vintage times, transitioning into a modern look and feel. One of the critiques that I would actually do is that we are basically on frame with these women the entire time. So when we cut away to show the logo and such, it's a little off-putting. So what I would recommend is maybe finding some B-roll footage of maybe this woman or maybe this woman walking from one side of the screen to the other, and then just doing a wipe to where then she walks past the middle of the frame, and now suddenly the logo is there. Havenworth & Co. Milan. Animation is fine, but having the women bring the logo to life would be the way in which to elevate this to the next step. But everything else that you've built up here, everything being custom branding, custom mock-ups, although not in as much in quantity like we've seen with other portfolios, it makes up for in substantial quality. I really can't say much to the actual designing and animating of it in the mock-ups, but as far as in the ways in which you're showing off the brand in a video format, having her just do the wipe, have it show up after she walks past, that would be a perfect end. That was all the work that we had to review for this month's work review here in Designly. I hope you enjoyed today's video, whether you were the one that was getting your stuff reviewed or if you're just tuning in to see what is being said about these awesome pieces of work that are being posted within the server. I'm grateful. We do have a few server subscribers, 2 in fact, very generous of them. For the Comet Plus subscription, we have Trans Sandwich, new to the server. They joined and absolutely loved everything that we were doing and subscribed at the highest tier right away. Really seriously, it helps everybody out here in the back end of things to help make the server better and the community better, as well as Paratov. They were under a different name at another point, but Paratov joined the server and pretty much instantly subscribed to the supporter role. Always grateful to have anybody directly supporting us monetarily. It just helps us and feel inspired to go out, get the resources that you desire, as well as being able to host more awesome events like this. So thank you two so much for being an ongoing subscriber here with Designly. But with that, we're gonna go ahead and end things off. Reminder, joining Designly is down below in the description. We have weekly events going over a range of different topics, whether it's a shared event with the Frostify Discord or going over things like this at the end of every month, going with a work review. If you're doing something and you need advice on with a particular client or a personal piece, let's work it out. As well as other educational events that go over Photoshop tutorials and tools, Illustrator, After Effects, so on and so forth. Go ahead and join today. Would love to have you in the server and see your work, and I'll see you in the next one.